Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrea. I have been an Etsy seller for 8 years. It is my full-time job, and this YouTube channel is where I share all the things I am learning about Etsy and small business and just being an e-commerce seller. So that is what we talk about on this channel. Today specifically, I want to talk about something that applies to all small business owners regardless of whether you sell on Etsy or not, and it is staying motivated as a small business owner. In the last video on this channel, we talked about keeping yourself from getting overwhelmed as a small business owner. And today I want to talk about staying motivated as a small business owner. So we're talking about two kind of mindset things as a small business owner, just because these things can be really, really tough. And so that is what I want to talk about today. If you have a small business or a side hustle or any sort of business that you are running or you're in charge of or you own, you know that staying motivated can be really tough to do. And the reason why it's so hard is that I feel like the reason why it's so hard is that you are responsible for steering the ship and calling all the shots, and that there's no boss to report to or coworkers to pass blame on. Everything literally starts and ends with you, with your business. And that can be really, really tough, just because that means that you have to motivate yourself to implement new things and try new strategies. And kind of everything is up to you. Like, the business's success depends on you. And also, you have no one telling you like, hey, you have to get this done by this date. And so it can be really, really hard to stay motivated. I mentioned this in the last video about feeling overwhelmed. All of this stuff is highly dependent on personality. When it comes to these business mindset tips and ways that people work and do things in their business, it is very dependent on your personality. So what keeps you motivated might not keep me motivated, and what keeps me motivated might sound awful to you. So this is a video where I'm going to share what keeps me motivated in my small business. And if your brain works like mine, you might totally jive with that, and you might be like, sweet, yes, that really helped me a lot. And if it doesn't, I still hope it's helpful as maybe what wouldn't work for you. But yeah, I can only share my own perspective and what helps me stay motivated. And so this will be how I handle that in my business personally. So as a person, my personality tends to be very goal-oriented. I don't love that there's a societal connotation with goal-oriented people or goal-oriented people. And I feel like the connotation is that it's better than being not goal-oriented. And maybe I just don't even understand fully what it means. But I don't love that, because it doesn't make it any better that I am motivated by a goal versus someone who isn't. I just tend to think, like, when I think, the way that I process the world is something that I want, okay, set a goal to go get it. I am definitely a person that is very goal-oriented, but I don't say that to be like, I don't think that that makes me better or worse. It's just a part of my personality. And I think that that often gets tagged as like someone who's a go-getter, really good, all those sorts of things, when really I think it's just the way that my brain works. So anyways, I tend to be a very goal-oriented person. The first step for me staying motivated is to set a goal. Whenever I think of something I want, the first thing I do is set a goal. And so that is definitely the first step for my brain to stay motivated, is to have a goal. So say that I have the goal of buying a boat. That is the first step of being motivated, would be setting the goal. And say, just for example's sake, I want to buy a boat. I have at that point already have an idea of the amount of money I'm going to need to save up and make in order to get that boat that I want. But I personally can't stop there. So I can't just be like, okay, I want a boat, and then I'm motivated. That's not how my brain works. It's too big of a goal. Like, I think that big goals are a really, really good thing to have. But it's not quite enough to keep me motivated. Of course, I love big goals, but when it comes to staying motivated, I personally need smaller checkpoints to check off in order to stay motivated for that goal. So when it comes to buying a boat, if I know that I need to save 30 grand to buy a boat. Obviously that might not be what a boat costs. I don't know. Or a truck. I don't know. I don't know what a boat costs. Okay. But say I said to myself, okay, you now need to save 30 grand. That is not enough for me. That is too big of a goal. I won't see that. I won't see any progress towards that if I don't set up smaller checkpoints in the amount of time frame that I need to stay motivated. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I'm saying, say that goal would take me a year, or that would be probably idealistic, a year to accomplish. That is too long for me to just be fixated on that goal. I have to have smaller checkpoints along the way to say, yes, you're doing it, you're going, you're doing it. So the second step for me staying motivated is to have smaller checkpoints along the way so that I can feel like I'm inching closer and closer to my goal and I can see progress. Seeing progress for my goals is honestly the most critical thing for staying motivated. I'm gonna assume that a lot of people that are learning how to stay motivated and searching that term and on this video online are also the type of people who are motivated by goals. And so you already have a goal set and it's a matter of staying motivated to get to it. This is where the rubber meets the road for me with that, is those small little checkpoints. Small measurements of growth are absolutely what keeps me motivated in my business. It is not the big grand things that take a really long time, though that is amazing. It is these small checkpoints that make me feel like I'm inching closer to exactly what I want to get to in my business. They definitely keep me motivated the most. So that is the most critical step for me, and I think it's often a step that people miss. I think that a lot of times people set a huge goal, but they don't set any kind of checkpoints to keep them motivated along the way. And of course you lose your sight after a year, because like in some terms a year is really short, but also whenever you're working day in and day out on a project, to not have any checkpoints over an entire year to say, yes, you're doing it, you're inching closer, that's a long time to not have any sort of checkpoint to say, yes, you're doing it, to not be motivated by your goals. So I definitely think that the tiny measures are the things that are more motivating than the big goals. These small milestones are what keeps me excited about my business every single day, willing to work on it consistently. And ultimately, that is what staying motivated is. That's what staying motivated means. It means consistently being ready and willing to put in the work to get your goals. And for that, I need the small measurements of growth. What this looks like in my real logistical world is that I use Trello. I mentioned this in the overwhelm board, and I have a goal that I set for the year and I put it on my board, and then I have the ideas and projects that I'm working on that all center back to that goal. I dive into that more in the feeling overwhelmed video, which I'll link in a card right here. But definitely, when it comes to staying motivated in small business, which can be a really hard thing to do, I personally have to set a large goal, and then I have to set small checkpoints that make me feel like I am inching closer and closer, or I literally am inching closer and closer to that large goal. The small checkpoints are where the motivation comes from for me. So I hope that this video was helpful. Like I said, it's very, very hard to, if your brain doesn't work like mine, you might not get anything out of it. It's hard to talk about mindset stuff because I only have my own opinion. So I hope that if your brain works like mine, it is very helpful to you. If talking about Etsy and talking about small business and e-commerce is your thing, I really hope that you choose to subscribe and hang out with me here. I make 2 new videos every week all about Etsy, so feel free, and I would love it if you subscribed. Thank you so much for watching.